What's up, you sexy bastards? Today is August 6th, 2026, and here's a trade recap on how I won $801 today, how I found my draw on liquidity, why I took this trade, and I'm going to be dropping actually some sauce on certain things later on in this video, so keep watching. But anyways, this is my executions right here, so you could see right here on my 50K on TradingView right here. On MNQ, and then also on TradeC, my 25K. So in total I did make $801, right? Practically 500 on my 50K. I haven't been trading that one in a while, just because I've been trying to manage both, but also I've been trying to focus more on the 25K to pass it and really taking discretionary trades. But honestly, not even greedy wise, I should have risked way more on the 50K just to try to pass it, because this was an A plus trade, and I'm gonna get into it, exactly why I took it and why I think it's A plus, and also answer some of the things that I was asked about, but also in general. So coming into today, my bias, let's get right into it, how I found my draw liquidity and why I took the trade. So coming in today, this was my bias. I started live recording me talking not only about my bias and during the trade, so it actually helps me, and I think that's something that you guys should do as well. But coming in today, my bias was bullish, right? Higher time frame ES is at all-time highs, right? And it overall looks like what have we been doing pre-market, and overnight. We have just been distributing lower but creating low resistance. And what are we? We are inside a daily gap right now. So avoiding all this, we're in a daily gap right now. So what I would like to see is the fact that because ES is not in the daily gap, I would prefer it to manipulate into the daily gap 930, right? It's sort of in this accumulation high time frame, and then we get our distribution. For NQ, the one thing that I wanted to see it get hit was CE of daily, which is basically the equilibrium or 50% or half of it. But now getting into the actual trade itself, and what 930 did, let's get right into it. So 930 first manipulates into the 15-minute. Now the reason I didn't care about this is understanding what is attacking, defending, but also what is the objective of the 15-minute, and I'm going to get into that more later on. But the 15-minute to me was seeming very, very weak. Why? Because it's defending this high time frame LR that we had with stacked session highs with a high time frame unmitigated. To me, all I saw this doing was 930 is simply now what? Adding to the PO3 right here. So 930 now adds to the PO3 right there, expecting what? This 15-minute as our objective to bring us to the CE of daily, which on ES right here would be the daily unmitigated, right? Because ES did not hit the daily at the time. So I just wanted to see ES hit it as well. I'd rather prefer it to hit or at least sweep the intermediate low. But I mean, at that point, we're so close to the daily, so just yeah, I'd rather see manipulation on both assets. And the one thing that was kind of with my scenarios and I was telling myself is if we hit the CE of the daily on NQ and we don't start to get an instant reaction, then I would like to see it hit a fresh unmitigated gap, being this 1 hour right here. That's something that I just peeped. But anyways, what did we do right after? We hit the CE, and as you can see, we instantly wick it. This is an instant wick rejection with with ES also hitting the daily. So right now we have true manipulation already and correlated assets. After that, all I was looking for was displacement. Now, this is gonna kind of get into one of the more questions that I had. So let's kind of bring this here. I'm gonna talk about it. Where the fuck did I have it? So all of this stuff right here. Because there was a 2-minute inversion here. However, I did not take it off the 2-minute inversion. I took it off other things, and I'm gonna kind of get into that as well. But anyways, as you can see right here, we have this very, very displacing 1-minute candle. Yes, we are in a 2-minute. I didn't take it off the 2-minute, though my fill was basically when the 2-minute inversed, but I didn't take it when the 2-minute inversed. I took it a little bit earlier, but anyways, I took it right there. We're reacting out of CE, and we have beautiful, beautiful accumulation with 930 opening price, with this other 15-minute premium unmitigated gap and high time frame LR leading to session highs stacked with the 4-hour unmitigated. To me, this was literally perfect. Looking higher time frame, looking at my bias, I wanted to target this, and honestly, hindsight wise, I could have left runners to it or just risk higher, but it's fine. Anyways, my fill was kind of dog ass, as you can see, practically when the 2-minute inverse. But like, if you see my live time, TikTok and Instagram, I took it right before the 2-minute inverse. Same thing on TradeC right here, kind of my fill right there. But anyways, right after that, what do we instantly see? Well, we see displacement right now. I did go break even at this premium 50-minute just because I wanted to see it kind of displace higher. And either way, I thought that it was weak. However, once I did see us starting to sort of displace lower, and then low-key ES was a little bit freaking me out because it was starting to displace lower too. I would have moved my stops probably back to here just because of high resistance my stop loss was. However, I was just a little bit hesitating, so I was like, if I saw it, I probably would have moved it. But what do we also have? Well, now we're opening up this 2-minute gap right here, kind of supporting us to bring price higher. Same with already this 2-minute. So kind of like ICT 22 model, expecting what? Well, this 2-minute to bring us higher and beat this 50-minute because it is weak. And that's exactly what we do right here. As you can see, this 2-minute gap gets mitigated, rejected, and we get this instant displacement. And I was really happy once I saw this candle right here. I was really happy seeing that instant displacement now getting into sort of more in depth on the trade and going to be talking about a few things. Now, why did I take this off the 1-minute and not the 2-minute, being higher time frame inversion? Now, mechanically, right, you do take higher time frame inversions the way I trade, and everybody, you know, kind of this IFEG sort of model is that taking it off the higher time frame inversions. However, for me, I've started to trade really discretionary, but also I really love Judases. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I preach about Judases and how good they are. I have now over a 90% win rate with the Judases that I'll be making a video on the weekend, some educational content talking about it, because I really preach about how good Judases are when you know how to take the right ones, right? So let's say that you wanted to take this right here. Like, I don't know if there was an inversion, but you're like, okay, well, we tap into this 15-minute, so we should go lower. This is the wrong Judas. This is the fake out move. This is exactly what ICT himself talks about, because 930 adds to LR. This 15-minute mitigation does not fucking matter. But anyways, I didn't take the higher time frame inversion of the leg just because I had a lot of conviction and just using my discretionary in it, understanding what do we do? Well, now we wick out of CE. If you see this immediate fucking reaction from CE, practically 100 points displacing from it, to me that was enough. Also, technically this isn't the CISD of the entire leg. However, what I liked is that it closed above 930 price. And now one more thing that I'll be talking about as well, getting into it, is the first presented fair value gap, but I'll get into that a little later. And then another question I had is why not care about these 15-minute, kind of relating on to the attacking and defending I'm going to talk about. But what is this 15-minute defending, right? Both these 15 minutes. Coming into the day, I was not going to use a single fucking gap here as manipulation lower. I did not care about these at all, simply because it is higher time frame LR mixed in with session highs with a higher time frame unmitigated, and higher time frame is clearly bullish, shown through what? Rejecting from the daily and displacing it hard 100 points through the inversion, 1 minute and 2 minute. But just kind of more in-depth wise, this 15-minute is defending higher time frame LR when you're attacking a high resistance high that just swept and rejected clearly of CE of daily. So that's kind of basically about that. And then getting more into depth about the first presented fair value gap. That's something that I've been incorporating recently. I will say though, live time, I didn't really peep it. However, I'm just journaling it right now and kind of either way have been sort of incorporating it or writing it into my thoughts. But the first presented fair value gap is something that ICT taught, right? And he basically says that it is the first fair value gap that is presented after 930 price opens, and using that, we can use that to our advantage. Now, however, knowing that a fair value gap is a 3-candle pattern, right? In this case, we have open, another candle, and then closing the fair value gap. However, right here, this is not the first presented fair value gap, simply because 930 cannot be the candle that makes the fair value gap. It needs to be the next candle after. So this is actually the first presented fair value gap. So one thing that you guys can write or just kind of note, this is the first presented fair value gap. Now, most people, or just in general, or you can use it to see rejection. So let's say if we open the fair value gap, we tap it, and then we get displacement, they can use that lower, which I have seen before, and something that I've been incorporating back testing. But How I used it and how you can also use it is using it the other way, which is inversing it. If you see that now we have a disrespect of the first presented fair value gap, which is a 2 minute, but kind of front running it, pre-firing it, you can expect that we are going to what? We'll just run past this. If you look on this on the higher time frame, it is so fucking obvious, what we are doing and what we are targeting. There is absolutely no reason why you should be bearish. There's absolutely no reason why you should have faded this if your reason was because this 15-minute or something. Again, I would assume that most people would take it off the 2 minute, which is completely fine because mechanically that is the model, trading it the highest time frame inversion. However, for someone like me, I honestly have been implementing a lot of discretion and just overall market experience with these sort of Judases and stuff. But another thing, now getting into the AMD XPO3, which is one of the things that I've been preaching, and also last video I talked about it. Getting into it more in depth, what did pre-market do? Well, as you can see, pre-market, and I've been watching it from actually Asia yesterday. So where was that? About sort of 8 p.m. something like that. But whatever. What have we been doing? Well, initially I saw this daily gap actually open up, and I assumed that we were going to continue higher with New York AM. So what are we going to do? We're going to generate liquidity in the form of high time frame LR, in the form of high time frame failure swings that are failing to displace lower. As you can see, we perfectly just start generating liquidity. We're not displacing hard lower. So what can we assume that New York AM and 930 in this case will do? Well, 930 in this case has to sweep this intermediate low, which we will then assume that both assets will manipulate. NQ is already in the daily. ES needs to hit the daily or would be preferred, and that is exactly what happens with 930. And getting into the 15 minutes, why I don't give a fuck about them is again because it's weak attacking versus defending. Simply 930 leaves a wick higher just as it would with the open low high close. So kind of getting into that, more of an ICT also thing. What can you expect 930 to do? Well, 930 first opened right here, so 930 first opens here, puts in the top wick. However, it's not manipulating into anything significant. All it's doing is bringing our objective from this 15-minute to go lower to the daily. Now we're opening low and we're getting our high close, expecting what? Distribution higher. So that's also one thing that you can incorporate. So there's so many things that I can talk about. AMD, PO3, first presented for value gap, open low high close, CE of daily, and just so many fucking things. But anyways, that's kind of why I thought that this trade was A+. I took it, banged. I hope that most of you guys took this. If not on the 2-minute, I would assume. I think you would still get a 1-to-1 basically to it. If you did get break even brutal on it, yeah, you would still get a 1-to-1, of course, if you had good fill. But yeah, that's overall about my trade. Really, really good trade, and I hope the rest of the week and the month will be like this. Technically, I should be up 2 wins this week, but whatever. And also, I was really, really confident pre-market that we would run all these highs. And of course, it looks like we did. Did we take out the 4-hour? We did take out the 4-hour. So I was correct. Honestly, again, very hindsight-wise, I could have targeted this. However, I don't like to go for very high RR scenarios. I have been trying to do that in back testing and seeing how that works, and it's fine when the draw liquidity is so obvious. However, I'm just fine with taking my piece of the pie, which actually was technically a 1-to-1. I just exited here after I kind of messed up the sort of TP on it because I had it on trade C perfect, and then kind of managing both was weird. But anyways, that's kind of my trade recap. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I hope that the rest of the week is like this. And leave a comment down below what you guys want to see next or anything specific in those in these videos talking about. I hope you guys did really learn a lot, because journaling these trades and actually realizing certain things about it and incorporating certain things like the first presented fair value gap and the fact that AMD and PO3 is the only thing that you need. I will always preach that. And the fact that Judases are the best model out there. Judases, when known how to actually trade them, and the right ones and the winning ones versus the losing ones, can be a big win rate differentiate. But anyways, guys, have a great rest of your day and evening, and see you guys in the next one. If you haven't already subscribed, I think we're at 180 subscribers. Let's get to 200. See ya.